I would like to welcome everyone and those watching via live stream and call the December 16th, 2025 meeting of the San Diego Community College District Board of Trustees to order with all board members present.
And I would like to call the San Diego Unified School Board meeting to order with all board members present.
If anyone would like to provide public comment on agenda items, please fill out a comment card available in the back of the room or from the board recording secretary. If anyone participating remotely would like to make public comment, please email boardoffice@sdccd.edu for further direction. Because this is a special meeting, we will not be hearing public comment on non-agenda item matters. In December 2023, our board adopted a district-wide land acknowledgement to publicly recognize that the land we occupy is the unceded territory and ancestral homeland of the Kumeyaay people. Miramar College student trustee Ariela Ogaro will now read the district's land acknowledgement.
Board President, the San Diego Community College District and its 4 colleges acknowledge the land we occupy is the unceded territory and ancestral homeland of the Kumeyaay people, where they have lived for over 10,000 years. We honor and value the stewardship, knowledge, and cultural worldview of the Kumeyaay people and their commitment to the protection and preservation of the land and their culture. As institutions of higher education, we are responsible for providing our Indigenous community members with access, belonging, and success in their educational pursuits within an environment which celebrates their culture. We are responsible for educating all our community members about Indigenous histories and culture. We are responsible for examining and taking action to address the injustices of colonialization and occupation, which have perpetuated harm against Indigenous, Black, Brown, and other communities. Through this acknowledgement, we honor the Kumeyaay people and express our commitment to truth and respect as the foundation of our relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ogaro. And now, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Board President. Everyone, please stand. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Oh.
We're gonna look at the agenda.
Okay, so can we get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda? Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Okay, thank you. I would like to invite City College President Ricky Chavaz to say a few words and to welcome us to his campus.
Thank you, Board President, Superintendent, Board President, members of the Board of Trustees, certainly the students who are also members of our board. Welcome to San Diego City College. My name is Ricky Chavaz. I have the honor and privilege of being the president of San Diego City College. On behalf of the college, we appreciate you all being here to highlight the amazing work that both of these organizations are doing to advance equity and success, college completion, and college going rates. I've gifted everyone, and students, I haven't forgot about you. We didn't get your sizes, but I promise you there's a bag of shirts over here that Amanda has for you if you'd like to get a shirt. Someone was asking me, what does dope mean? And I would say each of you is dope in your own way, and that the work that you're doing is going to help change the community that we serve. So if you think of dope as being exciting, awesome, amazing, it's a term we use here at San Diego City College to ensure that our students know that they belong. Our theme is You Belong Here, and it's not something we just say, it's something we carry out into practice so that students can be their authentic self, whether they're completing a degree and planning to transfer or whether they're going into career education. We want them to know that they can come here and become anything that they desire to be. So on behalf of the amazing faculty, classified professionals, supervisors, administrators, I'd like to welcome both Board of Trustees, our colleagues here to talk about this amazing work that we're doing collaboratively. Welcome to San Diego City College.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shabazz. And a special thank you to City College's staff and students for hosting our event this evening at the Seville Theater. Now I would like to invite Chancellor Greg Smith to provide opening remarks on behalf of the San Diego Community College District. Chancellor?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, President Shabazz, for that welcome to the Seville Theater. I want to say this will probably be the last time that we host this meeting here because in the not too distant future, we'll be building a brand new theater through our Measure HH bond program. So welcome to this historic space. 2 years ago, our boards came together to revise the joint board goals we'd established, putting a specific focus on increasing the number of San Diego Unified students that were ready for college and career as they graduated, to increase transfer rates, to put a focus on student communities that in our past we have not served as well and not made the resources in. And I appreciate all of the work that has gone into making progress towards those goals that we'll see tonight. And I see that as a reflection of the hard work of our faculty, counselors, our classified professionals, administrators at every level. And I also see that this suggests that when we put our time and attention and resources into something, we can make significant improvement. And as I think about our district's mission through our colleges to uplift the communities we serve by providing access to culturally responsive higher education, how if we can do that at a greater scale, we can truly achieve that mission of uplifting entire communities. And so I see a lot of hope for the future in these numbers. I look forward to deepening the work that we're doing together, to continue to work with Dr. Bagula in our roles to identify the barriers, the resources, the things that we need to do to make the investments to support the work that's being done at our high schools, at our colleges, to make significant improvement in these numbers in the years ahead. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for the presentations that have been prepared to share this data with us. And I am finished.
Thank you, Chancellor Smith. And I would like to invite Superintendent Fabiola Bagula to provide opening remarks on behalf of the San Diego Unified School District.
Good evening, and thank you for having us, Chancellor Smith and President Shabazz, for your welcome. And thank you to both boards for convening us in this joint meeting in this important work. And I also echo all of the sentiments of gratitude for all of the work that all of our staff has put together in service of our students. I recognize that December is a demanding time across our systems, and as we conclude these semesters and prepare for the winter recess. I know tomorrow and the next few days I'll be playing Santa Claus across many classrooms in San Diego, so that I consider that to be a job perk. This evening marks our joint meeting in December, and so I know we should discuss how we feel about this timing as well, but it provides us an opportunity to review the status of our shared board goals. The focus on data-informed progress monitoring reflects an intentional shift that meaningful progress requires regular reflection, using data not as a compliance exercise, but as a guide for decision-making. For context and for awareness, and a little bit, I'm going to say that, a proud superintendent, I would like to briefly share our recent results. Last month, San Diego Unified received its California School Dashboard results. Students demonstrated improvement in 6 of 7 state indicators, including reductions in chronic absenteeism and suspensions rates, an increase in graduation to 90.3%, the highest in recent history, and gains in college and career readiness, English language arts, and mathematics. We also led large urban districts in 5 major categories, including graduation rate and college and career readiness. I share these outcomes not just to report to this joint board, but as an example of what sustained focus, early intervention, and data-driven practice can yield. Our approach centers on meeting students where they are and equipping educators with timely information so supports can be deployed earlier and more effectively. This is the approach that deeply connects our work, particularly in early college credit, dual enrollment, and the San Diego Promise. These initiatives reduce barriers, accelerate access, and create continuity between TK through 12 and higher education, reinforcing for students that college pathways are both attainable and supported. At the same time, the data highlights an area requiring continued partnership, and that's our transfer rate. With about 7% of students transferring from our San Diego community colleges to a 4-year institution, we are called to examine this alignment across our systems and identify opportunities to strengthen these pathways so students can persist and advance. So this meeting is not simply an exchange of information, but a shared commitment to refining our practices, strengthening collaboration, and I'm really grateful for this partnership because I know all of us can do this work together. So this is our collective responsibility for the city of San Diego, and I look forward to continuing our celebration of success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bagula. Our next agenda item is public testimony on agenda items, but we have not received any, so we'll move forward with the status report on joint goals. And we will now hear this year's status report. The agenda originally had the board discussion at the end of item 504 or E4 on the San Diego Unified School District's agenda. But we would like to offer discussion after item 503 or E3, and again after 504 or E4, and then again on 505 or E5. Dr. Robinson and Dr. Topham, please provide the joint report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. It's our pleasure to be here this evening to share the work that has occurred since our last meeting in March. As we all know, there was a request to bring forward data to demonstrate the outcomes of the efforts that we have been working on jointly as our institutions. So tonight we have the opportunity to not only share data, but also share some of the successes. And hopefully this will provide both boards an opportunity for discussion and to continue to guide us in the work that we do on a yearly basis. Just as a quick reminder, these goals were set in 2024 and it was set for 3 years. And so what we're hoping to do is provide an update tonight and then to help guide the conversation, hopefully in 2027, when we will revisit the goals together. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Robertson.
Good evening. I'm going to forward the slides here. I want to take a moment to remind us of our 3-year SMART goals that we co-created and designed together. It's been some time since we've all reviewed these, and so I thought it would be great to refresh. We have new student trustees to the team. They may not have seen these goals, so we're going to take a moment to just share the goals, and then we'll dive into the data. The reason we strategically put in the board discussion after each of those entry points is because we wanted to break up the presentation, and so we could then answer and address any questions that you might have around the data points. So our overall arching goal that was lifted up this evening was really to ensure that all San Diego Unified students graduate both college and career prepared, as indicated on the California dashboard. And so our baseline data was 59%, and that began in spring of 2023. Our goal is to increase that to 67.9 by spring of 2027. Then what we've done is we've created outputs for each of that big overarching umbrella goal. So you're going to see output 1. This is more so a San Diego Unified goal. And this is to increase the number of graduating students that complete at least 2 or more college courses with a C or higher, from 36.7% to 44.7% in the spring of 2027. Output 2 is in alignment with our work to increase the participation rate of our Latinx students in at least 1 community college course. That's considered our dual enrollment courses and also our CTE articulation, our credit by exam courses, from 11.2% to 16.7% at the end conclusion of 2027. Similarly, you'll see that metrics for our African-American students, and the goal is to have our students graduate completing at least 1 community college course, dual enrollment, or credit by exam course from 13% to 18.5%. You may wonder why there's a breakdown of the graduating class and then the breakdown of the Latinx and African-American students. We have historically, as joint boards, really broken it down in that manner. But then you're going to see for San Diego Unified in the subsequent slide, we progress monitor by what we identify as spotlight students. So that is the nuance here. So while we have it broken up by our Latinx and our African-American students, San Diego Unified has adopted an approach to really identifying spotlight students. You'll see that many of our spotlight students they are Latinx students. They're students with disabilities. They're African-American students. They're diverse in nature. But what we've identified in our spotlight students is students who have come into high school and continue to be in high school earning less than a 2.0 GPA and have showed us that their attendance is something that we need to pay close attention to. So that's the little nuance there. And then for output 1D, we have talked about at length between joint boards, and we have progress that we're going to share on how we've been addressing this output. And it's to implement a mechanism to safely identify and support graduating LGBTQ+ students from the San Diego Unified School District, facilitating their transition to our San Diego Community College District by connecting them with their student support services. And so later in this presentation, we'll also share with you our progress monitoring towards that. So one of the things I want to pause here, so to orient both joint boards to recognize that San Diego Unified has a progress monitoring report that we're going to do tonight with regards to our Spotlight students. So we have created annual targets to really move the dial for our Spotlight students identified, not only in our dual enrollment courses, our CTE articulation credit by exam courses, but A through G, and also our AP IB programs. And so what you see here is we've created an interim goal that says we are going to increase 10th through 12th grade Spotlight students, their cohort completion rate of at least 2 or more community college courses, earning a CR high, measured by our California dashboard, from 7% in 2024 to 25% by 2030. So what you see on the left side of this slide are the annual targets that we've created for our Spotlight students. We set a goal of the Spotlight students who exited the class of 2025 to be at 10%. And then subsequently, we created annual goals. You'll notice that when we examined those students that graduated with us that were Spotlight students, we did meet that goal and we exceeded by 3%. And so our graduating Spotlight students did take 2 or more college courses and earn a C or higher, and we were able to obtain that goal at 13%. So we met that mark, but some of the things that we have uncovered is through our conversations about shifting the mindset that occurs when we're talking about articulation, course sequencing, when we enroll students in courses. Oftentimes, similar to that of our Latinx or African-American population, our students are not encouraged to take more rigorous courses or perceived rigor courses. And so we are really taking a look at the dual enrollment courses that are offered at each of our high schools, having conversations of, do they align with the student passions on our campus? Are our Spotlight students being afforded the same opportunities as the rest of the student body on each of our campuses? And so each of our high schools have also created goals to make sure that their Spotlight students not only have access and opportunity, but are successful in their college courses. We do have across the system what I like to call as the historically offered dual enrollment courses that are in the areas of math, science, STEM. But our students have expressed the desire for African-American dance and other cool type of CCAP courses, dope classes, if you will. And so we're really working alongside our partners at the Community College District and then our team to really take a look at our course offerings to really expand those so that our students, our Spotlight students, our Latinx, our African-American students really find something that they're passionate about and have the desire to take our courses. So that's something that we wanted to lift up there. And then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague who will take us through goal 2.
So goal 2 is to work towards increasing the number of graduates entering one of our 4 colleges. First time entrance from 21%, 1,434 students in 2023 to 29% by 26-27. The percentage of students who have enrolled in our colleges continue to increase and have increased from 58% in 2022 to 68% by fall of 27. I think it's important to highlight here as Dr. Fabi Rugul was talking about is that how do we connect our students to the services? How do we ensure that they're transitioning in a seamless way from the high schools to the community colleges and hopefully transition into the workplace or into a four-year institution. And we continue to do a lot of work in trying to identify programs and services where we are bringing services into the community or into the high schools, both in English and Spanish. We have also identified other languages to ensure that all students are represented in these services. We have done a lot of work with the parents because, as we all know, bringing parents into these spaces is super important, not only for them as role models to their to their children, but also to change the college going culture. So we have increased the number of services and workshops and events across all the high schools and across our 4 colleges to ensure that we are doing targeted services and targeted events that are helping students fill out the FAFSA, which you'll hear a little later, because it's not only a goal for Unified, but it is also for the California community colleges. We have done work a lot, as Dr. Robertson was talking about, around the choosing of classes, ensuring that we're creating pathways and sharing career services with the students also, right? Because it's about making decisions in which students are choosing courses that will lead to, hopefully, to a degree, to a certificate, and even into a job and internships. So output 2 is increasing the number of graduates who have submitted applications to the San Diego Promise from 28% in fall of 23 to 36% in fall of 27. Again, we've increased the number of these sessions. Not only do we do them in person, but we also do them online via Zoom in order to accommodate all of our populations. As we know, our AB 540 students, our undocumented students, are a group that need extra care nowadays. So we are really honing in on that and ensuring that not only are we providing services around the application, but also what happens to the student once they reach one of our colleges. We have collaborated with different organizations across the county to offer services and immigration information so that both unified students and families can take advantage of those services, and also our own students. So I think that pretty much covers our 2 goals and the data set. Also, as a reminder, you were provided with a scorecard, which is a report that we had agreed upon a couple years ago, which will provide you more specific data, which will then be shared and explained later on. But these are metrics that we are following year to year, and we'll be able to then use that fall of 24, 23 baseline data to continue to monitor our progress and hopefully be able to attain those goals. And then when it comes fall of 27, that we'll be able to set new goals. So with that being said, I will now turn it back to Jen.
Yes, and I would like to introduce a student of ours. Sadie Wheeler is here to share experiences as a University City High School student with regards to our accelerated college program.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. If you had told me a few years ago that I'd be standing here giving a speech about mathematics, I probably would have laughed. See, growing up, my dad had his refrain, his personal gospel. He'd say, math matters in everything, every career, every field, every ambition. I'd smile, nod, and think, sure, Dad. Math is just one of many subjects. I plan to be a lawyer and a politician. It can't matter that much. I knew I was destined for a career in the humanities, writing policy, studying philosophy and history, not writing equations on whiteboards. But life has a funny way of proving you wrong. After COVID, when school fell upside down for everyone, math became the thing that refused to make sense to me. I stopped feeling motivated, especially when my teacher quit and I fell behind. Some weekends, my dad and I would sit at the kitchen table for 7 hours. Yes, 7. staring at the same homework problems. It made me feel defeated, like I would never figure it out. Half the time, he didn't understand it either, which only made both of us more frustrated. There were nights I'd ended up in tears over 2 variable equations that looked like another language. However, I decided to take extra summer classes just to catch up, and then another and another to keep pace with my friends who were rapidly accelerating. Fast forward to last year. I walked into the Mesa College ACP Math 150 class, thinking I'd just get through it, do my work, and see what happened. Everyone around me wanted to pursue a career in STEM: engineers, scientists, and future medical personnel. And then there was me, dreaming of policy and law. The imposter syndrome was loud, and the voice in my head whispered, "You don't belong here." A defining moment in that class, however, was in a conversation with my professor, Dr. Collins, during which he said something that surprised me. "You need to learn how to study." I was convinced I knew how. I survived school up until this point, didn't I? But he didn't mean memorizing notes the night before a test. He meant something deeper, that college demands a different skill, the ability to learn how to learn. That idea became my North Star. The dual enrollment program didn't hold my hand. Bi-monthly homework, tests, and lectures were it. But that structure forced me to take ownership. I came to class ready, asked questions, and worked through problems on my own time. And in doing so, I began to gain confidence. Through the asynchronous course, I learned something unexpected. My learning was on me. I began taking responsibility for my learning in ways I never had before, and suddenly math was no longer my enemy. That mindset bled into other parts of my life. I began getting excited to actually learn in my other classes, not just survive them. I even became a math tutor, helping other students who didn't see them as STEM people navigate concepts I once thought were impossible. I now tutor my whole cheer team, often starting mini lessons in math concepts ranging from algebra to calculus. That was a full circle moment for me, giving back to my community of people who thought they weren't good enough at math while solidifying my own understanding. This year, I look around and I am one of 9 students in Math 254. Me, the girl who thought math was for other people, me, the student who struggled during middle school and the pandemic, me who swore she didn't belong in a STEM space. Math taught me discipline, grit, and the humility to admit I don't know something yet, but I can learn it. And perhaps that is the greatest success story of all. I may not be headed for engineering labs or medical school, but this program changed my trajectory. It reshaped how I see academics, how I approach challenges, and how I measure my success. As Michelle Obama once said, "Your story is what you have, what you will always have. It is something to own." My story isn't about being naturally gifted at math. It's about showing up, taking responsibility, and finding confidence in the places I once thought were reserved for other people. So yes, math matters. For me, not because of formulas or theories, but because it showed me how to keep showing up even when I was uncomfortable. To Dr. Collins, thank you for the sentence that rerouted my approach to learning. To the program, thank you for the space to fail, recover, and excel. And to those listening, whether math scares you or inspires you, let it challenge you. Let it teach you how to learn, because sometimes the most transformative journeys begin with the subjects we were certain weren't for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sadie. I think we're all inspired. I got even a little teary-eyed here. So this is what makes it all worthwhile, right? In the work that we do. I am now pleased to bring forward Andrea Gastelum. Did I pronounce that correctly? She's our outreach coordinator at the San Diego College of Continuing Education, and she's going to speak about the workforce preparation program that San Diego College of Continuing Education has started with high school. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, good evening, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Andrea Gastelum. I'm the outreach coordinator for the San Diego College of Continuing Education. I do have a co-presenter, so I'd like her to introduce herself before we get started.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rachel Angeles, and I am the instructional coordinator at Lincoln High School. Hi, through the Golden State Pathways Initiative. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So today we're going to talk to you all about Career Compass. Career Compass is our high school to workforce initiative developed at CE. And it was really inspired through our Workforce Wednesday presentations, which are a collaboration between San Diego City College, San Diego College of Continuing Education, and Lincoln High School. So through those presentations, we bring faculty to the high school site every week on Wednesdays to provide presentations and hopefully demonstrations. So it's less PowerPoints to the students to get them prepared for workforce career certificates, at least introduce them to the ideas. And it's through these presentations that we noticed a growing demand for skilled and technical trades. And this is not just with the seniors, but with the juniors, with the sophomores. A lot of students were interested. So while we did have a clear transition process for those seniors to transition seamlessly into the College of Continuing Ed after graduation, our concurrent or dual enrollment into the trades program wasn't as clear cut, I would say. So after many meetings amongst my colleagues and then professionals from Lincoln High School, we were able to create class sections that worked well with the high school class schedule to allow for students to be able to leave during their last period and take courses with us at the College of Continuing Ed. And for those students that were on a distance learning model, they were able to come and take courses with us rather than doing the distance learning. So I will allow my co-presenter to speak a little bit more on that, and then I will talk to you about our hopes to scale this project and grow it.
So thank you so much. The Workforce Initiative, with our partnership with City College and with Continuing Ed has done wonders for us and for our students who are more equipped, more well-informed about college and career pathways by the time they graduate, which is all part of our college and career readiness vision at Lincoln High School. But what I really want to speak to is a specific vision that between Lincoln leadership and between Continuing Ed leadership, a part of our pathways is the trades program and the trades partnership that we have with Continuing Ed. With the partnership with Continuing Ed, we have, like she said, mostly seniors, but our upperclassmen who are able to take hands-on classes and trades classes at the ECC, which is just a mile away from Lincoln High School. So we lucked out on that. They are able to take these hands-on high-demand coursework, so that way by the time upon graduation, that they are equipped with these skills for these high-demand jobs, and they are going to be more ready than their peers and actually more ready than many adults when they enter the workforce and when they enter these entry-level jobs. What I really want to highlight is our connection with CE leadership. So thanks to people like Andre, thanks to people like Tavares, Andrea, and our HVAC instructors, our students are in what they call experiences that they never believed that they could be in. So our Lincoln leadership piloted this program last spring with about 15 students who entered the HVAC program. Of those 15 students this past spring, 12 of them are now, when they finished the program, 12 of them are universally certified, meaning to say that they pass all certifications in tier 1, 2, and 3 HVAC certifications. So by the time they graduate, they can apply for work in anything like entry-level small refrigeration jobs, all the way to industry level, large facility positions as well, by the time that they graduate. That is the first cohort. We are in the second cohort right now for fall, where we had another 15 students enter the trades program. Of those 15, 11 of those went into the automotive program, 4 of them went into the HVAC. Of those automotive students who completed the 2 coursework this past fall, they're going to enroll in the welding program for spring by the end of January. And of those 4 HVAC students, 3 of them just completed their certifications last week. I'm always smiling ear to ear every time Oscar, the wonderful HVAC instructor, tells me about this, but 3 of them completed their certifications last week, with 1 universally certified and 2 of them who are certified in 2 of the 3 HVAC certifications. None of this is possible without leaders like you, without leaders like standing next to Andrea, and with having students, especially our Hornets, at your heart. This is a growing program. So this second cohort is actually going to be much larger. I know I'm taking up a lot of time, but I can talk about this for hours. But this growing program is going to be much larger for next semester with 10 students who just applied for the HVAC program for second semester. I can talk about this all day. Obviously, you can too, considering we're all at a board meeting, but something that happens that I get so much joy in is when students come up to me and say, hey, Miss Angeles, guess what? I'm applying the knowledge that I learned in my engineering classes with Mr. Cook and Mr. Jeffries into HVAC, into the wiring. Miss Angeles, can you believe it? I'm a college student. And I tell them, yeah, I can believe it. So thank you for this, and thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Right, and I'll start to wrap things up. I do want to add that, you know, through that pilot, there were some struggles along the way. We noticed a need for our students for some basic needs support. So once that was recognized, we were able to partner with our basic needs office on campus and have meals delivered to the classroom for the students. And we didn't want to differentiate between, you know, the high school students and the adult students in the class. So the entire class was provided with meals, every single class. And this expanded to both of the groups of students, the automotive, the HVAC students. In addition to that, all of their exam fees were covered as well through our basic needs department. And we threw a nice little celebration for them at the end. And we're looking to scale that in the future and offer, you know, on the spot interviews if possible, bring industry professionals in to help give them job opportunities afterwards. And I'm not sure if we mentioned, but we're also expanding into our welding department. So this next cohort or group of students will have the option between auto, welding, or HVAC. So we're just expanding the opportunities, and we're seeing students that were juniors and took the courses with us previously now exploring different programs as well. So they have the option after high school to get straight into the workforce, make a livable wage, or even continue on with their goals for a 2-year or 4-year college as well. So really what we're doing is expanding their opportunities and ensuring their success in the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you both. Thank you for your dedication and hard work and ensuring that our students are successful. So now this gives us an opportunity for a brief discussion, pause, to answer any questions or any comments that the board members, trustees would like to make at this point. Yes?
Thank you. I think we're going to be brief. We're going to try to keep this to 10 minutes, but please go ahead, trustee Hassan.
Thank you, and I don't know.
I think it's on.
You're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So I have a couple questions on goal 4.3, which was great to hear that our target was 10% of Spotlight students would complete at least 2 community college courses, and we actually beat that annual target by 3%. Great to see, but I'm wondering if you can clarify which strategies we're using that have resulted in us actually beating this target, and what investments we're making, or that we should I guess, what investments are we making, and what should we continue to fund to sustain and amplify this growth? So it's the first one related to that. And then I am also wondering, and maybe it's after this, if we can receive a little more data about whether we're seeing consistent growth in Spotlight student completion of community college courses across all schools, which would reflect systems change, or are we still seeing specific schools that are overperforming in this regard because of specific counseling practices or other targeted interventions and support for those students? So it'd be helpful maybe after this to have some disaggregated data by school. And I'm also wondering, specific to the workforce preparation, it was great to hear about what's happening at Lincoln with the HVAC training. I recently learned, though, that certifications, while fantastic for employment, are actually misaligned with the metrics for the state's college and career indicator. So I guess if you can clarify, are those students deemed college and career ready based on the state dashboard if they're earning those certifications or not? And if they aren't, might we be able to do some joint advocacy to ensure that the indicator metrics are updated to include certifications?
I'll go to the second one first.
Sure.
We can definitely break down the data by school and provide it to both boards so you could see not only the goals that have been set by each school, but how they're getting to those goals and what their current metrics are. So we could break it down by schools and then provide it to you shortly after this meeting. The first one, I would like to remind our board of our approach when we work with our Spotlight students and all of our students in the high school level. We really ground ourselves in strategic scheduling for one. So our data insight team has been phenomenal in providing our schools the dashboard that provides data in a timely manner that shows that if Jen Roberson is not in a course that Jen Roberson has requested, then immediate corrections can be made in a student's schedule. And so we meet frequently with middle and high school leaders to really look at our dashboard and to understand where our students are then falling with regards to course scheduling. So strategic scheduling is one. We are also the recipient of the Golden State Pathway Grant. So each of our high schools, with the exception of one right now, still in the process of hiring, has a Rachel on their campus, an instructional coordinator that really facilitates the learning amongst our students that are in the CTE program and our dual enrollment program as well. And so our instructional coordinators, like Rachel, work closely with our administration at each of the school sites and our counseling department so that we then have an understanding of the course and sequence and how we schedule our students properly. The other thing that we really examine at our schools are the interventions and supports. So our leaders come together and share their best practices of what's moving the dial for their students. Many of them have shadowed. One of the promising practices that they've talked about is they've shadowed their Spotlight students as they've gone through their day-to-day for their classes. And then they really get to know their students. Morris High School uses a protocol that they learned through the core district of really getting to know your students. Having a 2-minute conversation with your students, getting to know them so that then you build that adult champion on your school campus. And so a lot of these shared practices, best practices, really don't require any fiscal responsibility from us at the high school level or from us in leadership. It's just the organization and bringing folks together to share best practices so that it can be multiplied across campuses. We also read literature to talk about best practices, to inform and ground ourselves in that work. And so those are some of the things that we're doing to move the dial. The indicator, I would encourage us to have conversations for joint legislative approaches. Yes.
I guess, is it right that these Lincoln students who are completing all of these certifications are not deemed college and career ready by the state of California based on the completion of those certifications? Just
those
make sure
those certifications are not currently a metrics on the indicator for the dashboard. So that is why I encourage us to have those conversations to see if that could be added on an indicator. So our students upon graduation are measured if they've taken AP courses, college and career technical education courses, IB courses, they pass SBAC, they've taken college courses, but certifications is not one.
I mean, because it seems clearly based on everything that you're describing, they are prepared for careers, for well-paying careers. And it's a shame that the state isn't recognizing that. So I'm hoping we can do something about it.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to ask a question or make a comment? Please, Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, President Arroyo. Jen, I know this is something that we discuss a lot in our board, but I think it's important just so everybody's on the same page, that when we talk about progress being made by Spotlight students are identified as generally being behind. So are we talking about cohorts of Spotlight students who are, moving? Because at some point, if you're moving, towards these increased outcomes, you're kind of no longer a Spotlight student. How do we deal with that definition of the growth of Spotlight students?
Thank you for that question. We're having that internal conversation in the Office of Graduation.
Yeah.
Because as our board might recall, we started out with the belief that we were focusing on Spotlight students as they left 8th grade and transitioned into 9th grade.
Yeah.
And so we had originally started with a cohort of 9th grade students. These are students that are reflected in that data that we've monitored as they've gone up in their high school career. But we also then have a mechanism where we've asked schools to identify a wider range of Spotlight students that encompass 9th through 12th. So we simultaneously monitor student progress both at the cohort level of tracking, but then also students that come on and off of that model of what would be identified as a Spotlight students.
Yes. Trustee Weihersman.
One way or the other.
I know you have. I think that it's on.
That was already on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Can hear.
okay, it's already on. Thank you. I think that this group is going to be a good group to do an in-depth study because we're just finding out now. But one of the things that I've been pushing is the fact that if we can capture the interest of the students, then they'll take it to the next step. I think last year we had a student to come who was like almost incarcerated or something. And he had discovered HVAC. And he came up, he was applauding us. This was something that would have a lifelong impact on this student because he had finally found an interest. Otherwise, he was hanging out, he didn't want to go to school. And my premise has always been that if we can find whatever it is the child is interested in, then they will offer some motivation to move to that next step. But our problem is, as my pastor told me, we're training generalists and never tapping into what an individual child may be interested in. That's why I love sports, not to play it or, you know, to watch it or anything like that. But just because they are so focused on capturing the interests of the students and following them through carefully. And the band players, the band group, they do some of the same things. We now have food services doing that. We've got to find a way to keep on engaging more and more students, and then the certification will come as an automatic piece because they want to do that job. They know how to do the job. There are jobs available, and they would get into those fields. So I really hope that as we move down the road, I know we're in the infancy part now, but maybe we can do case studies or something. Some of the college students can come and do case studies of our students to help us to dig deeper to find out what it is we need to do to expand that pool of folks who are interested in a particular field so that they can use it as a lifelong journey for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Senior and then Trustee Osler.
One of the fields that some students who are not especially motivated by academics might be interested in is art. Graphic arts, a lot of students like to draw, doodle, etc. And it's a way of expressing themselves. I started as an art teacher many years back. And that can be a real springboard to the students feeling good about themselves. When they're not doing good at math or science, but if they're doing well in art, and then we can encourage that and then create programs for them.
Thank you. Trustee Bosser.
Thank you. I think to piggyback on my colleagues' comments, I was thinking the same things, that it's great to have a specific skill, but for students that maybe, aren't interested in working with their hands or don't have a specific skill that they want to focus on, having art or Superintendent Bagula and I met with the public health officer for the county today, and we're talking about possibly a pathway for public health, pathway for like a civic, if someone was interested more in like a government kind of position. So I love that idea that we can expand that. Also, I wanted to just ask, and I don't know if you have the answer to this, but as we're talking about the pathways, we're talking about HVAC, we're talking about welding, mechanics, and not that it has to be, but those tend to be, I would say, more male-dominated types of pathways, and just trying to make sure that we're also having pathways that maybe, not to say a girl wouldn't be interested in some of those, but a little more cross-section so that it's not as entirely focused on some of these because I'm looking at the slides and it's all men, which is great, but I just want to make sure that we're also offering as much as we can to our female students as well.
Okay. Thank you. And that's a little more than 10 minutes, so we did great. And I think we can move on now to item 504. Yes?
So we are now moving into the data piece of it, in which we're going to spend some time looking at the scorecard, looking at the post-high school enrollment and some San Diego Promise information. And I'd like to bring forward Stephen Bass, our research and planning analyst at our district office. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephen Bass. I'm a research and planning analyst at the San Diego Community College District of the District Office of Institutional Effectiveness and Research. And I'm going to try to hold the microphone very close to my mouth here. Okay, so here we're looking at the number of high school students who enrolled in college classes over the last 5 years. In 2024-25, the most recent year for which we have a full year of data, SDCCD served over 6,000 SDUSD students in college classes. This is across the CCAP program, in which about 5,200 students enrolled in college classes, concurrent enrollment, which is with almost 1,200 students, and the ACP program, which is the program that the student from Mesa College spoke a little bit earlier, with 740 students in that program. One thing to note is that many high school students enroll in more than one type of early college credit. So if you try to add these numbers up, you'll get a larger number than 6,100, which shows that students are really using the opportunities that you provide them in really creative ways. So students are not just CCAP students and not just concurrent enrollment students. Yeah, that's what I have here. Here we're looking at course success rates. These are overall at the college level. To your question earlier, this will vary by high school and college as well as course. So there's a lot of different ways that this data varies, but overall, high school students enrolled in college classes are or highly successful with district-wide averages in the high 80s. We also have lots of reporting resources available to our high school partners and as well to our college partners about all of the ways that this varies and the disproportionately impacted groups in course outcomes. From a district-wide very high level, I can say that seniors from the class of 2025 who enrolled in college classes earned an average of 10.3 units from SDCCD. That's an average. I mean, some students earn more, some students earn less. But looking historically, this is up almost a full unit from the prior graduating class. So students who enroll in college classes are earning a lot of units and establishing a lot of momentum towards their educational objectives. Also looking at this from the perspective of the benchmark set by the chancellor of the California Community College Office in the Vision 2030 goal, almost 1,400 seniors from the class of 2025 earned 12 or more units from their college classes. This was 41% of high school students who enrolled in college classes from the class of 2025. When you include credit by exam, that goes up to over half of students. So if you think about, of all the students who are enrolled in college classes, over half of them are earning or are already meeting the benchmark set by the chancellor of the California Community College System. Before we go into disproportionate impact and access, which is one of the key metrics that we use to establish how equitable these programs are reaching students, I want to take a moment to review the metrics that we use to measure DI and access. This metric, or the metric that we're going to talk about, is participation rate. Participation rate is the percent of students from a high school who enroll in college classes. At the example high school on the slide here, there's 10 students in the high school, 3 of them enroll in college classes, so that's a 30% participation rate. To identify disproportionate impact in access, which is a significant gap in access, we look at the access rates for one group, like this group on the left. Let's say they have 5 students, one of whom enrolls in college classes, that's a 20% participation rate. And we compare that to all other students at the high school. So all the other students would be the students on the right. That's 15 students, 5 of whom enroll in college classes. That's a 33% participation rate. To identify disproportionate impact and access, we take the ratio between these two participation rates. In this case, it's 0.61. And when that ratio is lower than 80%, That's disproportionate impact. That's a significant gap in access. Here, we're looking at the access data for the last 5 years across all SD/USD students taking college classes from SD/CCD. You can see the district-wide average is the gray bar, and you can see significant progress over the last 5 years. In 2020, 21, and 21, 22, 14 or 15% of students enrolled at SD/USD public schools took college classes from SD/CCD. This was as instruction was transitioned online during the depths of the pandemic, and everybody was being severely impacted by the pandemic. Over the last 5 years, that's grown to 25%. 1 in 4 SD/USD students took college classes from SD/CCD in 24-25. That growth reflects a lot of work from the folks in this room, from counselors, from faculty, from all the dozens and hundreds of staff across our 2 institutions. So I think that's something on its own to celebrate. Also, we can see that the participation rates for African American and Latino students has also grown. If you're keeping score with the goal 1 outputs 1B and 1C, in 2024, participation rates for African American and Latino students are at 21%, which exceeds the goal. On the other hand, we do still have work to do. You can see that the participation rates for these 2 groups are lower than district-wide average. And to measure the size of that gap, we report on the number of additional students that we need to, that we would have needed in a given year to meet the proportional participation rates. Those are the numbers on the bottom of the slide. And you can see the numbers that I shared back in March for 23-24 for African-American students, we would have needed 11 more African-American students for there to be no DI for 23-24. And we would have needed almost 400 more Latino students for there to be no DI for that group. This is the first year from a district-wide perspective that I can share that there was no disproportionate impact for African-American students to college classes. So this is a great something to celebrate across both our institutions for, again, the faculty, counselors, staff, and students. Also for Latino students, we do still have a large gap. We would have almost needed 200 more students for 24-25. However, you can see that this is about half. The gap is shrank by about half compared to 23-24. So while we still have significant challenges, lots of work still to do, there's also something to celebrate here. The data is showing that we're moving the needle in the right direction. Also, a quick update on the Promise program. Cohort 9 is the most recent cohort. They started in fall 24, and their first year is the 24-25 academic year. There were over 1,300 SD/USD students in the Promise program, an increase of 27%. Of all the first time to college entrants from SD/USD in fall 24, over half, 55%, received the San Diego Promise Scholarship. Also, the final output of goal 1 of establishing infrastructure to identify LGBTQ+ students in Promise. We applied for and received a grant to develop infrastructure around sexual orientation and gender identity data. We've been implementing that over the course of this last year. And this data is both extremely sensitive and both very complicated. So I'm sharing high-level findings here. For about 40% of Promise students that's the percent for whom data is available. That data suggests that at least 19% of Promise students in 23-24 and 24-25 were LGBTQ, suggesting about 1,300 students in Promise in those years were LGBTQ. This is higher than non-Promise first time to college students. Lots of caveats and cautions around interpreting this data, but I do want to share that as the update for what we have. And that's it for my slides. Next up, I'm introducing Chantal Hernandez, the Outreach Coordinator from Miramar College.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. Thank you for giving us the time to speak on all the amazing work that our teams have been putting together in collaboration with our partners at Unified. So what I'm going to be speaking on today is the way that we have been reimagining, our approach to CCAP at our campus, looking at, strategies that we've been implementing and obviously the progress that goes along with it. But it begins with our partnership and strengthening that through our leadership breakfast, coming together with our leadership across our high schools and our campus to talk about the work that we've been doing, but also the work that's ahead. We piloted a CCAP focus group of current Miramar students and had a conversation really of, you know, what was their experience at CCAP and how did it impact their transition into our campus. And through that collaboration, you know, one thing that did come from it was, you know, that peer-to-peer promotion, which was important, and the perception that they had, you know, if their peers were taking classes, they're more likely to be interested. And because it demystified what college was. Something also was that, you know, also like, did it seem challenging? Was it something that maybe they felt that they can take on? So we've been taking steps to look at the way that we rebrand ourselves when it comes to, you know, connecting on campus, strengthening our partnership. So, you know, along with promotional items, you know, they wanted to see students that actually were taking these classes, so that again, it demystified the idea of what was college, what was taking classes. So, you know, we are working with our partners to have also photo shoots to highlight students that are actually in the program, that are actually taking these classes. We're working on a dual enrollment view book, which is a electronic book, you know, if you will, to actually promote the opportunities, and still elevating the student voice along the way. The family, you know, it's so important. So what we want to do is make sure that the family is included. So last semester or last fall, we piloted a fall family night for CCAP. You know, we've partnered with our unified partners in the spring to provide a family night, but in the fall, how do we better collaborate with each other to bring in information that will bring in the family, talk about the benefits of beyond, you know, taking 1 or 2 courses. And this year, what we did is we incorporated our counselor. We had a counselor there that actually talked about these classes, the requirements. Our faculty coordinator was able to also talk about, you know, what does this one class maybe fulfill in terms of, is it a certificate? Is it a degree? Because sometimes it does take you to take, you know, a step back and look, what does this one class maybe fulfill? And so, you know, that continues to grow, and we look at everything holistically. So the counseling component with our counseling team, something else that we've piloted, and I know I've said piloted a couple of times, but you know what, we are the Miramar Jets, so I guess it is only fitting. The counseling services. We want to collaborate better with our high school counseling team, so that between both of our counselor you know, expertise, they can better guide students on the classes along the way. And then also tutoring, we collaborated with our ASC, which is our Academic Success Center, to offer tutoring, because one thing is getting them to enroll, but we want to make sure that along the way they actually have support. And lastly, this is just a visual of some of the work that we've been doing. We're providing in Spanish, English as well, and we're building out additional programming that goes along with it. You know, again, we want to make sure that students are also seen, and students are the ones that are helping us elevate their experiences. Here are some pictures of our CCAP family nights. Like I mentioned, you know, the Spanish programming, we're building that out as well. But this doesn't get done just by one individual. It takes the partnership that we have, you know, come together for tonight to make this happen. So I definitely want to shout out my team, but also our partners for the hard work.
Thank you.
So we have another opportunity for discussion. I'd also like to recognize the work that the CCAP leads at the colleges, the deans, the faculty have invested. And this is a true testament to their dedication and love for the work that they do with the high school students. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Thank you. Anyone has questions or comments about what we heard? We have a little bit of more time assigned to
Yes.
this section. Yeah, Trustee Barrera.
It's not directly connected to the outreach for CCAP itself, but I'm wondering, in the world that we're in right now, what kind of support are we providing on campus, particularly for our immigrant students?
So for through San Diego, through our community college district, we, like I mentioned earlier, we do offer immigration workshops and sessions. And those are open not only to the students and to our internal community, but it's also open to the external community. College of Continuing Education has an immigrant center in which they provide some assistance with legal, and we work with HELS, the community-based organization, in providing those workshops and information centers. Each of our colleges has either what they call a Dreamer Center or an undocumented student center. And there we also offer various different support programs through our student mental health. We've developed different services and different outreach pieces that also support students. Yep.
Yeah, and just a little bit more on that. Last year through our counselor and partner conference, we had Dean Lillian Garcia present specifically on our Dreamer Resource Center. We had, I think it was upwards of 60 San Diego Unified counselors in attendance. This year during the fall, I know we're not supposed to share like this year, but it's pretty awesome. We actually coordinated with the CCTE department at San Diego Unified, and we hosted a special session specifically for undocumented students, where counselors were able to come to this Zoom session in a breakout room and have a discussion of what are the resources, how do we best connect with the students at San Diego Unified, and it was a great discussion. That session is actually to be done for all of our priority populations, including LGBTQIA students, mid-year graduates, Black and African American students, Latinx students. So huge list that we're going to support, but great session as well.
Thank you.
Yes, and just to add a little more information, we're being very intentional about those outreach. And so really collaborating with all 4 colleges and bringing those services into the high schools so that students are able to reach out to them sooner as they transition. But then as they transition to one of our colleges, they know exactly who their allies are at our colleges.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Okay. Trustee Hassan.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you coming back to us. I know back in the spring you shared data, but having additional insights is really helpful in some of the specific strategies that seem to be moving the needle. So thank you for that. One thing it would be really helpful to see the way you did for that first goal, comparing the results to the target, because while the needle is moving in the right direction, right? We look at, district-wide participation going from 15% in 2020 to 25% now looks great, but I don't know where we're supposed to be. So how are we doing compared to our target for 24, 25? Right, so you shared 1B, 1C, 2A, 1D, but not, I think, in reference to where we had wanted to be necessarily for this year. And if you don't have it now, that's okay, but I'd like to know how we're tracking against that.
Which specific output are you referring to in goal 1?
Oh, so the ones that were shared, so I think 1B, 1C, and 2A, and 1D, the ones that were just shared with us. So we see where we are, but not compared to where we're supposed to be. Does that make sense?
Yes. One thing that we can talk about as an internal team as well, you have that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, so we can update the scorecard to reflect what the target is ultimately. Thank you.
Do you have a sense at all if we are on track? Like meeting
Yes.
the targets?
Yes, because we're moving in the right direction. So my short answer is yes, but I don't recall the numbers off the top of.
Okay.
Yes, we've exceeded them. The targets by 26, 27 for African-American students was 16.7% and 18.5% for African-American students. And both of those groups have a participation rate of 21%. So we've exceeded that target by.
Oh, terrific. That's great. Thank you. And then I'm wondering if you can speak to the whys behind some of the great results you shared, so that we're no longer seeing disproportionate impact and access for African-American students, I think is incredible. And I assume the result of some really great work. So what is it that we're doing that we want to do more of in that regard? And then in terms of also Latina students, what we think we might want to be doing more of to close that gap, or what the plan is for this year.
So I think it's the intentionality around the services that we're offering. As I quickly mentioned, these meetings and these collaborative approaches that we're taking are becoming greater. So the collaboration between the outreach offices, the instructors, academic affairs, instruction, and so forth, right? So we used to meet every once in a while, once or twice a semester. Now some of these meetings are monthly, and in some cases they're weekly. And we are intentionally bringing everybody together. So from admissions and records at the colleges to the liaisons at the high schools, right? And looking at processes and how we are where in the past we've inadvertently put roadblocks to our students in applying, right? And the filling out the forms. And so we've really taken a closer look in how we do the work that we do and to facilitate the collaboration and the transitioning of students and students applying. I know that Luke, for example, can talk to the changes that we've made. Also, along with Alyssa, has done an outstanding, the two of them, I think, are on a text basis every second. When something pops up at a college, it's now about one of them reaching out to someone on our team or the other way around, right? When we moved, let me give an example, the SSO, that's single sign-on a couple of semesters ago, and having students have access to single sign-on because we moved to that. Luke was going around, dropping off key fob or the keys to each one of the colleges. We were working with our IT. Alyssa was sending out the outreach teams. So I think the intentionality and the dedication of each of the teams, not only at Unified, but also at the colleges, at each of the colleges, to ensure that students are ready the first day of class to be in class. Right. And then also working with our faculty around professional development. We're starting to really hone in on the professional development piece and how are we helping or set up our faculty for success in the classrooms and working with high school students. So it's a multi-pronged approach, but I think that under the guidance of the goals of the joint boards, that's what we've been doing. We've been spending a lot more time in ensuring that what we're putting in place makes sense, especially for the students and for the families as they're navigating this. And as different priorities pop up, then the flexibility and the opportunities to pivot depending on what's happening in the community and the world we live in, it's a testament to the dedication of both organizations, outreach teams, folks on Unified side. So thank you.
Thank you. I think it's really exciting to hear about the alignment that's happening and the intentionality and, hearing about folks on texting bases right between the organizations. I don't think this was happening a few years ago. So thank you for doing the work. And then we see what's, borne out in the data in terms of student achievement and growth. So thank you for all of that work.
I just wanted to acknowledge one thing too, and I think, I know we have some of our deans and our faculty members who help lead CCAP, and apologies in the crowd. But really just to take a moment to recognize Steve's efforts. His calendar is full and counselor meetings, every one of our colleges doing some sort of principals breakfast, and data's at the forefront. And through our counselor and partner conference, I think we held like a 40-minute data session where our high school counselors are sitting with our data dashboards so they leave understanding it and they could take this information back to their counseling teams to then work on it. So data is at the forefront for us. So I don't think it's a mistake. Tons of effort. Our principals meetings with our CCAP deans and faculty, they're very intentional with the CTE team. So I think there's tons of great data that's getting involved so they can see the minimal stuff that's needed for us to make and close that gap, which is really exciting.
Thank you.
The only thing I would add is the conversations that happen around the dashboards that we just lifted into the space is that we have the conversations with our counselors and our site leaders and our liaisons about your enrollment in your CCAP courses should mirror the demographics at your school site. And how could we encourage our students and provide them with the opportunity? And many of our families, many of our students don't know yet the benefit of taking a CCAP course during their high school career. And so the more we educate our students and encourage them, we'll be able to continue to keep the gap closed.
Thank you. Trustee Senior.
One of the things I'm not sure if I understand. what does the city schools do to let them know that community college is not a second-rate education? I run into people in the community, like a waitress or somebody, and they don't know that community colleges offer all these degrees for free. And they don't understand that community colleges are no longer junior, that it isn't more prestigious necessarily to get in, and that it's much cheaper, that they can go for free. Do you publicize that with the parents, with the students in your schools? Because if you don't motivate them, they're going to keep this attitude that we're second rate and that they don't want to settle for us. Anyone? Can anyone answer that?
Well, as a
Trustee
parent
Jameson.
of the district, my child is taking a couple of CCAP courses, so I can say that I was notified. But also just, I think that when we have the representative coming to the campuses, this is information that is definitely spelled out. Like these are free classes, this is going to help you. So yeah, I think, yeah, that information is out there. So I'm not sure if we need to find a way to publicize it even more, but that information is out there.
I want to say something on that too. I think some of you may remember that I've said one of my big things for graduation for all my high schools is to shake every child's hand who's graduating. And my key is to find out what they're going to do.
Right.
And they tell, where are you going? I'm going to college. Where are you going? And if they just say, well, community college, what are you interested in? To really push them. And now the principals know and the counselors know for my schools, because they tell the kids, he's going to ask you what you're going to do. Where are you going to go? Because that's an extension of what we should or should not have been doing. I'm testing the schools to find out if they're doing what you're asking, because it's important. Every child, and after the pandemic, I know you guys got some of our babies who really needed a lot of help, but we appreciate you helping them to the next stage. Every child should be doing something. And the community college is an option. They need to know. They need to know about the promise. I even have told folks, you know, they have a promise scholarship. That's something that your child knows about, but every child should know about that. And Fabi and I, Dr. Bagula and I had that conversation about the fact that community colleges are not graduating students at the same rate that the four-year institutions. But that's all a part of all of us doing something more to help our kids. We have to work together to help all of our children so that we don't have the elite few going to Harvard or Yale, and then the rest of them just falling by the wayside. Or the ones who are in sports, the coaches are monitoring what they're going to do, where they're going. The music folks are doing the same thing, but we all need to be doing that, whatever level we're in, to be pushing our kids to focus on where they're going to go. And if it means community college, that's good.
Great, thank you. And just like Trustee Jameson, I will share, something very little about my experience with sophomore at San Diego High. Social media is big, right, among kids, and I know that we have our opinions about social media, but just a very small example, Maria. I know that at that high school where my daughter goes, there's an Instagram account dedicated to showcasing where the students are going, right, for college. And I'm very happy to see that students that are choosing to go to community colleges, some of our community colleges are included too. And it's usually, I see the students, nodding. It's usually a picture, like a baby picture or like a child picture. And it's a very sweet, what is it? Tradition, I think. So would you like to add a little more?
Of course. So it is a tradition for multiple high schools, not just mine. I've seen it around a bunch of high schools in San Diego. There's an Instagram account that they put like their mascot name, and then they put like graduating class. And at the end of the year, all the seniors post a baby picture of them. They pick where they're going and what their major is going to be. And at least for my school, there's been a bunch of students that have gone to community college, and some of them are undecided, but they still get like a bunch of likes. but we repost them. There's people from other schools that follow that account as well. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm going too. And then they network from there and then they get roommates. So that's one thing. We really do publicize that community college isn't junior college. It's an amazing opportunity. So yes, our students do a really good job at that.
And I think it's great to know that it starts with the students, right? And that they're feeling proud of that. So would you like to add something? No? Anybody else? Are we, wait, please.
Because I would like to strengthen that partnership as well. And I'm going to echo trustee Whitehurst Payne's comments. When I start looking at the transfer rate or the completion rate at community colleges, it is very low. So if we're going to increase the credibility and the finishing of community colleges, that also has to improve at the same time. And so that's the part that I'm looking at going, okay, so what can we do together? Because we have really beautiful programs. That is not, I'm not saying that to blame us for anything. I'm saying this as an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to partner and to grow together.
Actually,
We have, can we
sorry.
hear from, go ahead.
No, what I was just going to briefly share is, and as it relates to transfer, this past year, San Diego Community College District has signed 2 data sharing agreements, one with San Diego State University and one with UC San Diego. And the intention, one of the goals with that is that UC San Diego and San Diego State will be able to reach sooner to our students at the beginning instead of at the end, right? So as we all know, sometimes it takes a second for students to figure out what institution they want to transfer to. And so by doing this, they will be able to do our outreach to our students a lot sooner than we have in the past. So that's something to look forward to, and hopefully that will improve our transfer rates.
Thank you. I would like to hear from the student trustee weekend, and then we'll move on to the next section.
Oh, sorry, this is on. Okay, so I just wanted to agree with my fellow trustees as well. I don't think community college is really stigmatized that much anymore within high school, definitely. I mean, literally today I was like in class and one of my students was like, I am so excited to go to San Diego City. And I'm like, yes. Because, well, in my head, I'm like, well, I had this joint trustee meeting today with both boards combined, but also, yes, right? Because community college is awesome. Who doesn't love free classes? Who doesn't love, like, just getting to do things for free? I mean, I don't mind it. So I think community college is a really great thing, and I don't think that students really stigmatize community college.
Can I add one
Yes.
thing? When I first ran for the board, one of the things that was suggested is that I try to get some sororities, students to go and campaign for me or whatever. I forget what they were supposed to do. But in talking to them, they said that the best classes they'd had were at community colleges before they came to San Diego State, because at San Diego State, they were in large classrooms. And in community colleges, they had much more access to the faculty, and they were really glad they did it that way. So they were very enthusiastic about community colleges, although they were San Diego State students. And I don't know that people realize that that's a real advantage that they're not going to get at UC or San Diego State. And it's going to prepare them just as well.
We can definitely do better, like all of you say. Okay, so now we're gonna move to the next section, and that's section 505.
Yes, and so to the point that we were just making about collaboration and cooperation and working together, our next item to be presented is the financial aid completion efforts. So it's Anna Vasquez, the head counselor, ethnic studies liaison, CCAP coordinator at Crawford High School, and Ceribel Morales Rivera, the acting outreach coordinator at San Diego City College, to talk about their partnership and the wonderful work they've done around financial aid.
Hello, I'm Anna Vasquez, the head counselor, the very proud head counselor at Crawford High School. And our principal will be joining us shortly. Ah, there she is. Okay, thank you for having me tonight. As the proud head counselor of one of the most diverse high schools in our district, as you know, ensuring that one of our core principles is ensuring that every student, regardless of background or immigration status, has access to clear and accurate information about financial aid. Our team receives ongoing training and on supporting undocumented students and mixed status families, so we can confidently guide them through the FAFSA or the CADA, the DREAM Act application, as well as access available scholarships to ease the burden of college or secondary education. We regularly host workshops for students and parents, creating a welcoming space where translation is available, where families can ask questions in their native language and understand their options. Our work is greatly strengthened by our collaborative effort with San Diego City College and CalSoap, along with our Med Department's Newcomer Center, along with other college access partners. They join us for all of the events on our campus. We just had one last week where half of our seniors joined us in our cafeteria, and we conducted the workshop. So half of our seniors are already completed or on their way to completing their FAFSA or their CADA. We help our seniors complete every step of the process. And because of this dedicated work and our collaboration, Crawford has achieved a 91% financial aid application completion for the class of 2025. Together, we're removing barriers and making sure that Crawford students know that college is a viable option that is within their reach. Thank you.
And I don't think Anna is really hyping herself up enough. Anna is a great person to work with, and she's wonderful with students, and she really supports our partnership. So San Diego City College is committed to intentional outreach and programming that expands access to higher education for all students, especially those navigating financial aid applications, college enrollment, and the transition from high school to college. Grounded in equity, access, and social justice, we work alongside our San Diego Unified School District and partners to ensure that students and their families feel supported, informed, and empowered throughout every step of the financial aid and enrollment process. Our partnership with Crawford is a true example of what a shared commitment can achieve. And already hyped up that 91%, but I'm going to say it again. Crawford reached a 91% financial aid application completion rate for the graduating class of 2025, and San Diego City College Outreach supported this work through hands-on involvement. Our outreach team participates in financial aid application events brought by Crawford and CalSoap during the school day, on weekends, and provides an on-site outreach ambassador who offers direct support with enrollment steps every week. We have someone at Crawford every week to work with these students. Together with Crawford Counseling, our CalSoap partners, WAHUPA, and many more partners, we assist students with completing the financial aid application, promise enrollment, and all required onboarding steps. A prime example of this is our signing day. During our signing day at Crawford in May 2025, in one day, we supported 70 seniors, with 57 of them completing all of their enrollment steps: a city college application, a financial aid application, a promise application, and they met with our counselors at Crawford so they could enroll in those 12 units to achieve full-time equivalency. 5 out of the 10 recipients of our Jim and Jan Presidential Scholarship were Crawford High School students. So they received a $1,000 scholarship and a MacBook because they committed to San Diego City College and our Promise program and are now pursuing their educational goals. This partnership demonstrates the impact that coordinated student-centered support can create in ensuring that students complete financial aid applications and receive an affordable college education and have those warm handoffs from high school to college. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can have another conversation about this presentation. Anybody would like to jump in? Trustee Basso?
Thank you for that. And those are extremely impressive numbers. And I'd like to find out a little bit more specifically. You know, we talk about getting parent involvement specifically for our first generation students, and how we can do what you're doing at Crawford at all of our schools more. but specifically, what are some of the ways that you brought parents and whether it's a parent or a guardian or grandma or whatever, especially maybe if there was language barriers to be part of this process?
Well, this has been long, planting the seed, long standing. We make a lot of presentations starting the first week of school. Actually, even before that, the juniors, they get their information in the spring about, let's start gathering the information. Every parent communication has, it's coming up, So from the very beginning, we hit them hard. They know that it's a graduation requirement to be able to walk in our ceremony. So we kind of pushed that as, the governor signed the bill. So we encouraged them all. And we really have only had about 1 or 2 students push back on that. And, their parents, for some reason, wanted to choose another option. And, most students comply and most students are glad to have a high school plan, even if they decide to go to the military or sometimes that doesn't work out. So many students then tend to choose City College in the fall, even if they had originally chosen some other option. But the communication goes out. We're so thankful for our KINVO Operations Unified Command that allows us to send messaging in the student's native language. So we're so glad we are able to access that and attach flyers. So it goes directly to their text messages. And parents like that, text messages and their email. So, and we use our newcomer center. Pierre is very utilized on our campus. So we're very grateful.
There's one more.
And then the City College side, I also want to add that we are aware of the diverse populations at Crawford High School. One of the events that we're really proud of that we do are our Somali presentations, where we have Somali faculty, like our City College faculty, come to Crawford High School to speak with Somali students in gender-specific rooms, right? Like we are really aware of how hard it is to have that conversation when there's that cultural barrier, and we go out of our way to make sure that all students really have an opportunity to have that space.
Thank you for that. Trustee Senior.
This may be a really weird question, but I was just reading a book about a young woman who really wanted to go to college, but her grandmother thought it was a waste of time. And her parents were gone. And so she had no way to go because no one would fill out the FAFSA. Is that something that anyone else can help a student with, or has that ever come up? Maybe it's never come up in your schools.
So we definitely have a lot of supports. And before graduation, I have students sitting on my couch in my office. We're making phone calls. Thankfully this year we have the CCGI application where we're able to print reports of students who are in the process who have not completed their application. So we're going to provide even more targeted support to the students. If they've started the application and they haven't finished, we're going to go talk to them one-on-one and find out earlier, how can we help you to finish, so that every student has a post-high school plan. That is my goal as the head counselor, and everybody knows that. When I speak to my students, every student should have a post-high school plan, regardless if it's to go to an apprenticeship, to go to the military, whatever it is, I want them to have options.
Yes.
Crawford, it's my school. I know you all heard that before. If it's successful, it's my school, right? But I've been there on Saturdays where they've had the workshops. And when the governor was giving out the monies, they had workshop with folks, the Chavistas and so forth came forth. And they just had a massive all hands on deck trying to get everybody to sign up. I know what you're talking about with the scholarship because my church gave a scholarship to a kid who was going on to college, and his family didn't want him to go out of town, but they were able from outside support to get someone to help him to get the application and to do the things that are necessary. So sometimes it takes what you were talking about to go beyond just relying solely on the family because they may not understand culturally what's going on.
Or they may think it's a waste of time.
Yes, for male and female.
I want to add because I actually have that lived experience. Where I was accepted to several universities, but both my mother and my grandmother said that I was not married, so I was not able to go. Otherwise, I would have been with Dr. Pedersen at UC Berkeley. In any case, my sister still gets mad at me that I didn't leave. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm so grateful for counselors like yourself, Ms. Vasquez. Thank you. And our efforts to actually replicate those strategies, because we can't just have counselors like you. We want to make sure we have them at every school. So we hired a director of counseling in order to really oversee all of our counseling departments, because that is such a pivotal role in someone actually having that type of support that isn't necessarily familiar with navigating that system. That and really beautiful partnerships. I'm going to give a shout out to First Gen. There's organizations that partner with us that provide the mentoring and support for our students, like the Chavistas, because it is something that is still happening. I mean, I'm a long time ago college grad, but it's still happening at many of our families. And I know myself, I've advocated and spoken to parents just like my principal did with mine. I do want to add a shout out or an invitation, saying thank you so much. This is really beautiful work from everyone that's presented. I hope that you are able to attend the second HSI College Fair in partnership with the Mexican Consulate on January 24th. I think having a presence from San Diego Community Colleges there would be beautiful. It's exactly the type of event that we want to have, but they're helping us do this. So just wanted to give an invitation to all of you.
Thank you. And our colleges are all working with the Mexican consulate.
Beautiful.
So
Thank you.
thank you.
Ms. Vasquez, do you want to add? I know you wanted to. No? Okay. All right. Anyone else? No. Okay.
One quick
Mr.
thing. Thank you,
Herrera.
President Arroyo. So on goal 2, we identify that we want the percentage of San Diego Unified graduates who enroll in the community college district to receive the San Diego Promise Scholarship to increase from 58% to 68%. And then we say we want the number of graduates who submitted an application to the Promise program to go from 28% to so can students be enrolled in the Promise program without submitting an application? I'm trying to understand the discrepancy between these.
Yeah, so that is interesting. I think that's one of the big efforts that we've done like this past year. If you recall from our March board meeting, we talked about the idea that we continue to admit Promise students after our Promise deadline. So some of those students actually won't submit an application.
Got it.
And I think that's something that we want to kind of take a step back and factor with our researchers, because a large portion of our students, even now, I think we have a list of that Steve helped us provide of around 200 students that we're continuously calling and reaching out to while they're in our school district to finish the Promise process so we can get them. So some of our students won't actually submit an application, which is we go through a petition process. But I think if we take a step back, we could probably combine a lot of that and get a better scope on that.
Good question. Oh, Ms. Vasquez and then Trustee Hassan. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, 91% is probably as good as it's going to get, because many of our students come in as refugees or asylum on asylum, and so they are not eligible to fill out their FAFSA or CADA. So they have to wait until they are here in the country for 3 years to be eligible for the AB 540, which is one of the requirements on the CADA. So, I think we're doing as best as we can.
And on that note too, a lot of our students, if they go to non-credit, we do have a Promise pathway. We will work with students that go from college and continuing education, transition over to the San Diego Promise and the credit colleges a year or so later.
Trustee Hassan.
I think, and I'm trying to remind myself back, I guess 2 years when we developed these outputs and goals, and looking at Dr. Roberson, but I think the reason we had this output to be around submitting the application, because that's something that we as San Diego Unified could do and had some agency in. And so it was us saying, well, we can work to increase the number of graduates who submit the application. We thought that was a really important metric to track. While the big overarching outcome is students or graduates entering the community college district.
I think one thing too that we've tossed around, and I know it's probably added pressure to our fundraisers, but we've also tossed around an opt-out model for Promise. So as students apply to our district, they're automatically assigned what we call like an application. So they're invited to apply to Promise, but that's a step in itself. According to our data list that we have with Steve, there's right around 100 students that meet all the Promise requirements that never applied. So right now we're
Guaranteed. admission.
exactly. So right now we're in the course of, well, we just want your permission just to say no problem and put us in Promise. So we're calling all those students, emailing our students, doing Canvas global announcements as they log into their Canvas. And it'll continue honestly well into the spring for us, because I think that's just what we've done. And that's our culture now, working together. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? We're doing pretty good. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Drs. Robertson and Dr. Topham. And all of the San Diego Unified School District, the San Diego Community College District students and staff for coming today and sharing with us, the great work that you're doing. I'm excited, to hear that we're in the right direction. It's inspiring to hear that the Spotlight students, that we're, caring about. That we're seeing some progress. Of course, there's more, to do. Anything else, Dr. Toppin or Dr. Robertson, that would you like to add before we move to our next
No,
agenda item?
we are happy to turn it over to.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna go into our joint legislative efforts, and Chancellor Smith, I think you're gonna present on this item.
Yeah, so typically when we're having this meeting in March, the legislative agenda is set, all the bills have been introduced, with just a very few exceptions. So we're able to actually bring a slate of bills that both of our districts are interested in. Obviously, we're still in the development of many of the bills, seeing what two-year bills will come back. And so what I'd like to propose is that as we respectively are working on our legislative advocacy agenda, we share that with each other, perhaps early in March or as it's available, identify what bills would be of mutual interest in supporting, and then we can respectively bring that back to our boards at our meetings in March and or April to get board action to approve, and then we can submit the letters. I can give a couple of highlights from our district that we're working on now. And first, going to your comments, Trustee Hazen, about the college and career readiness measures. I'm guessing, I haven't had a chance to go look, that they don't count non-credit certificates. And that is probably the core of that issue, which goes to Assembly Bill 1433, which we appreciated you joining us in advocacy last year, from Dr. Lachey Sharp Collins, that would establish a definition for a non-credit college and a non-credit education center in the California community colleges. Unfortunately, if you hear people talk about there being 73 districts and 116 colleges, the College of Continuing Education and an equivalent institution up in North Orange County, North Orange Continuing Education, are not part of that 116. So I often remind people they're actually 118. We have a problem within our own education plan in California that undervalues non-credit education. So I'm going to integrate this into our advocacy around recognizing that those workforce credentials are leading people into good paying jobs and then become a pathway. So as we bring AB 1433 back, we're going to look to strengthen the language around non-credit to credit alignment, credit for prior learning. So looking at the students, what they've achieved in those HVAC courses, we can often find transition to a credit program, credit them from the time they've spent there to streamline their pathway to a credit degree, launch their ability to go into higher levels of degree earnings in the future. So as we build out a more comprehensive presentation of what non-credit means and the value of it, that should allow us to start to address some of these issues. Also looking at baccalaureate expansion, unfortunately, the governor strongly messaged his veto of the nursing baccalaureate for community colleges. The recent action by Department of Education to remove nursing, physical therapy assistant from the professional degrees list, which means that you can only take out $100,000 in graduate loans cumulatively, only $20,500 a year. And if you go look up tuition expenses for just about any master's in nursing program, $20,000 a year isn't going to cover it, I think changes that conversation for us, because we could offer students a pathway to an undergraduate degree for around $10,000, preserving a lot of their loan eligibility and financial resources to pursue higher level. So we'll certainly be looking at baccalaureate expansion. We've had multiple failed attempts to get community college baccalaureates eligible for the Promise program and tuition waivers. We're going to continue to pursue that. The HSI designation is under threat due to a federal lawsuit, and I've been working directly with the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities and a handful of my colleagues around the state on a California strategy. In the event that we lose the federal designation, California can take action. And I meant to mention in my opening remarks, I wanted to congratulate Mesa and City College for being among the first group of colleges recognized as a Black serving institution in California. Getting additional funding for the BSI program will be among our priorities. So there's some of the things that we're thinking and working about, so you're aware as we bring our legislative slate to you, you'll have an idea of what might be on there. Dr. Bagula, anything you want to share?
I just want to affirm our commitment and collaboration and pursuing opportunities to continue to advocate together. I also took note of the workforce credential piece that we were talking about. I know that's a decision or highly influenced by the State Board of Education. So I actually already texted one of the board members. So I will be pursuing that advocacy as well. And thank you also for your work on HSI. I say that we were one of the first school districts to join HSI, that we had to nudge ourselves in there because it tends to be higher education, but just affirming our commitment to stay true and together. Thank you.
Okay, I see. Trustee Hazen, sorry that I was saying it not like that.
That's
Go
okay. It's
ahead.
okay. No one ever gets my first or last name right? So I'll take half of it. I'm wondering, so around the certifications, so I received a message from our government relations director, Dr. Cook, and she said that the State Board of Education is actually meeting on the CCI indicator in January. So I'm wondering if we could get consensus here around both of our entities expressing a shared interest in advocating. So it's not legislative advocacy, but really advocacy to the state board to ensure that, I guess it's non-credit bearing certificates are indicators of career preparedness.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Wow. Okay. I did not have a time limit on this section, but I think we're good to go. Well, thank you, everybody. Oh, well, not too
No, I
soon.
just wanted to make a comment. I wanted to thank the staff, sorry, because that you can tell that a lot of preparation has gone into this, and especially now that we're adding the data piece, both on the community college side and the San Diego Unified side, for all your hard work on this. And, the results are looking encouraging, and, I really appreciate all the effort that's going on, not only for this meeting to get us, but, just in general across the board with all that we've discussed this evening.
Me too. Well said. Well, seeing no further business, this meeting of the San Diego Community College District Board of Trustees is now adjourned.
This meeting of the San Diego Unified School District Board of Trustees is also adjourned.
Thank you. Have a nice evening, everyone.